This one's.
I'll have to shoot soon.
This one's on.
Yeah. Ugh, this one's turned itself off. Hang on.
I did all kid last night, so I like yawned a bit.
3D scanning.
Scanning babies and food.
3D scanning. It's funny how it leads all into NFTs, though, isn't it? Not all that.
Yeah, I kind of get why it does. It does make sense.
But it's anything.
Do you
NFTs could be receipts for shops.
Do you know the thing that I thought about NFTs yesterday was think about NFTs, the group of people.
And
that
this
have
is not
the
about NFTs, but
No. The thing about the group of people that have the Ethereum currency in their bank, in their wallet.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a load of people who've just been paid. And when they've just been paid, you want to go and buy a load of cool shit. But it's like, if you have just been paid in Ethereum, what do you buy? You can't go to the shop and go and buy a Canon camera with Ethereum. So that's what all these people.
Yeah, but you can trade it off Bitcoin then
and
for
they
normal
can
money.
pain the fucking ass. There's now something you can buy with your
Coinbase
crypto.
going to
Yeah,
fucking
and
change
that's
the
what's
game.
that's what's built it up. Is that there is something to buy with your crypto money without having to convert it back into pounds
Yes.
or dollars or whatever. So that's what's built it up. Is the fact there's a load of people with a lot of Ethereum and didn't know what to do with it and didn't want to convert it back into pounds. That's basically what it is.
I'd be
Got
converting
a
it back to
load of money in the
pounds.
bank. I'm going to buy a Beeple. I've got a load of money in the bank. I'm going to buy a V friend.
Okay, let's do
Let's go.
3D scanning.
I wish I did have a V friend. But
You wish Gary Vee was your
I
friend.
want to go to the conference, and we're going to talk at the Gary Vee conference and do a piece about NFTs and the 3D model thing we did to be on a panel rather than being a guest.
It's all good, John, though, because we've got a Harvey friend. Dad joke.
3D scanning.
Right,
John,
3D scanning.
you want to
Right,
ask
okay.
me about
Well,
3D
let's
scanning?
start from scratch. Right, okay, so you run River. That came out of Infinite Pixel. What's the score with Infinite Pixel now? So is that still a going thing, or is that just kind of is that becoming like a little bit of a background?
No, yeah. After Codemasters, left Codemasters in 2014, where we worked together,
Yeah.
and started Infinite Pixel doing house videos, property, high-end drone videos, and now it still goes now. They do about 40, 50 houses a month. The guys are smashing it. They've sort of changed the name to Dream Home Films, which is amazing. They now run with it, Matt and Nick. I think there's about 4 of them now that take it on. But we basically work with those guys, and we still make a little bit of money while they do the majority of the work. But it's a brand that still happens now.
Yeah.
So it still runs, still goes, still part of it.
It was because when I set up Blackfire Films with Tor back in 2016, 17.
And Tor used to work with me in the video team at
We all
Codemasters.
worked at Codemasters basically. So at the time, you never worked at Codemasters. You
I
probably
was a
should get
hairdresser.
like a quick internship there, just sort of, you know.
I was a creative in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was doing people's hair.
So, but anyway, yeah, I went back then when we were looking at some of the stuff you were doing in Infinite Pixel, and we've done some work with you because we've done some filming work for you.
Yeah.
And then you were like, come in the office and have a look at this VR shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's kind of exploded from there, the whole Infinite Pixel thing and everything else. So one of the chief components of that is 3D scanning. So what I think is worth having a chat about is how 3D scanning is becoming more actually relevant to real world application rather than just being this thing of like, cool, look what this thing we can do is.
Yeah.
Because it's not something that's just, because I mean, look at 2 years ago, like you'd send Ty out with a bunch of cameras and a drone and come back with thousands of photos and have to load up a load of specialist software.
Yeah.
Whereas now you can do it on a phone, on an iPhone.
Yeah. So you're
Maybe
more,
not to the same level, but you know, but
you're more keen to talk about the mobile scanning than the stuff we've already done for
I think
crime scenes and fire
maybe
scenes.
talk about a bit of both of it. So let's have a chat about what you did originally. What was your idea that you got? Like, tell me about that, because I know about it, but let's talk about it for the sake of this video, like we're actually doing the interview. Tell me about River and where the sort of inspiration for that came from and where you went.
Yeah, when we first started with Infinite Pixel, was amazing. We were doing drone videos, and you know, it was editing that I wanted to do. So we were editing house videos, like we were editing car videos at Codemasters. But then, as my brain wanted to do the next thing or look at the next piece of tech that was coming out, was VR, like you said. So you came and had a look at VR. But we were seeing something in the office called photogrammetry in VR headsets. And there was a thing on Steam called realities.io, and it was just a little company that are actually still going and big, and speak to them still. They made this app that you download and put a VR headset on. You could step inside a place that was a digital twin of a real place, and it blew my head off. Like, it blew my mind that I was inside what was almost being inside a video. I was inside a photo, if you like, but I wanted it to be inside a video. So you'd put the headset on, you're in this old location, and photogrammetry is the process of taking thousands of photos of any object, person or place and making a really detailed 3D model of it. The more photos you take, the more detail the model has. So we saw this in VR, but as we were looking around and examining these worlds in realities.io, there was holes in the floor and like holes in the walls, and we were looking around and I was like, why is this not perfect? So that led us to scanning crime scenes, fire scenes and investigation scenes for the UK and US government, and we still do that now. Multiple counter-terrorism scenes where we do scanning, photogrammetry scanning for training. So we'll go down and, for example, the 7/7 bombings in London, there was a lot of items that were left over from that bombing, and we went and scanned those items and recreated these scenes for them to train on, so that in the future people get to see what a potential bomb factory might look like and spot the signs. And we built it inside VR so we can walk around and investigate, and you've got a torch and everything. We're basically a digital twin of inside these buildings, and that led to us making 8 fire investigation scenarios. We've got a facility in Kenilworth down the road where we have 2 or 3 containers, and we build these front room sets or dining room, kitchen sets, and we burn the room, make the room, burn the room, and then scan the room. And then once we've scanned it, we bring it into VR, and we allow the investigators, police and fire, to investigate these scenes to see if it was arson or not that might have caused this scene. And the reason we copied it and we did that, the reason we did those scans, is because of how they train in the real world. So I like to embed with different people, fire service, police, army, and see how they do their things now, and then see if there's a way that modern tech or even futuristic tech could help them do it better, more efficient, more safer, cheaper. And this was a perfect example. Fire investigation. Every fire station around England and the world have containers where they fill full of furniture and then burn, and then put the fire out and then investigate the fire. But they could only have 1 or 2 or 3 people at a time looking around the fire, the scene, because they
obviously disturb the scene, around
mess it up, disturb the scene. So they're doing this regularly. They're burning these scenes every month, and it costs them about £5,000 each time to have fire engines off the run, guys off the run.
Not to mention, it's not exactly environmentally sound. Oh, we lost a light.
Not to mention,
it's not exactly environmentally sound to have like a bunch of chemicals being burnt off constantly. And
100%. That is one of the main reasons, and I've met and interviewed loads of people to do with that. There's a massive percentage of arson investigators that die of cancer because the fact that they've been breathing in all of these toxins over the years.
Yeah.
So now it's safer. You can do it in VR. And it's also cheaper. You save £5,000 every time you press reset. Because we can put people inside these scenes now, and they can investigate everything, and then they can just press reset and the whole thing goes back to normal.
Yeah. But I actually forgot to switch the battery on. Plugged it in, didn't switch it on. There you go.
So it's safer, saves money, and then every time they press reset in the scene, they can save themselves £5,000. And this is now being used all over the world. We sell it on a license fee at a certain amount every year, and you use a VR headset and a computer to investigate the scene, and we can do it remotely, where we're in different physical locations, but it'd be in the same virtual scene, and I can hand you an object and say, John, what do you think to this burnt toaster? And you get your torch out and you shine it and you look and we talk, or we can be in the same location. We can be in the same room, and I can be an instructor talking to you through the scene as you're in the scene. So that's River Investigate, and now we've basically done the same thing with police, and we've made River CSI, which is the crime scene investigation, but it's a sandbox version, and it's for standalone headsets. So instead of having a big PC and a big headset like we did for the arson, now the crime scene stuff is all on this. So you just use this, and no PC. It's all in the headset, but it's a sandbox solution, which means that people can go in with their crime scene investigation lecturer, or the lecturer can build the scene themselves. They've got a number of bodies that they can place on the floor. They've got a number of weapons and blood and different bodily fluids that you can wipe on walls and only see them with a certain torch inside VR. So you basically build the crime scene. We basically embedded ourselves again with the police to see how they do it now. And they have physical, real-world buildings at universities and police stations. My mind was blown when I saw how they do it. And then every room has 4 cameras, and they send people in and they dress the scene. But one of the stipulations on the accreditation is that if you're going to train people every year, the scenes need to be exactly the same as the other people that got marked on the scene. So perfect for me, because we can build the scene and press save. Done.
Yeah.
Now they can build as many as they want and press save on them and call people into the exact same scenario. So we scanned my mum's house down the road, her rental house, with a, again, Leica RTC scanner, inside and out, photorealistic model. Ty was actually doing some of the photogrammetry there. So we scanned all of that, made a house, and now we can bring in a body, lay it on the bed, have one leg hanging off the bed, drip some blood, body fluid, whatever you need. Or you can have a volume crime. You can just have a smashed window and someone's ruffled through some drawers. But you can design all this inside VR. One of the big problems that I see when people are trying to do 3D worlds, people try and create and manipulate 3D data on a 2D screen. And that's not how we work. That's not how humans work. We learn and interact and move around spatially in a 3D world. When you're all this is just us. It's not how we know things. It's not how we do things. How we really know things is in the physical crime house, they lay a body on the floor and they drip some blood on the floor and they lay a gun next to the body. Well, now you can do exactly that in VR. It's just that these are your hands and you can walk around
Which
in space.
is going to change with time because, haptic sensors and gloves and whatever else.
100%, but using this now is still the best way, and I have tried all of those other devices.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in its infancy, but let's steer back onto 3D scanning. So obviously it's very high tech solution.
That was basically the two that we just talked about.
Yeah. But for fuck's sake, what's going on?
That's just a little one. But
I need to put a cable in it. Fuck it. Hang on a sec.
No, look, there was another.
I've got a cable here. I've got enough bloody cables. I didn't plug anything in.
Ty, and then in a minute, you're right. We're going to stick this on there. Unless you want to do that now and then hand it me after. You could do it through this whole. John, do you think you still got to do some more with 3D scanning?
Yeah, I think so. I think the problem is we're dropping into really serious interview mode.
Police stuff.
It's not the fact that it's about the police. It's just that you get into this kind of it becomes a bit too almost dry. Not even silly, but it's just. So just try and tighten this enough, but not so much it actually grips.
Al's too passionate. He goes into the minutiae.
Maybe.
That's the problem.
Maybe.
He needs like an abbreviated cheat sheet for each subject, so he only says 10 key points.
Yeah.
And doesn't elaborate.
That's how I always do this stuff.
Yeah.
But I
That's
think
it. So you go. You can do it on your iPad. Photogrammetry in
I know what you want to
10
do.
key points.
I know what you want to do. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
I think
Basically,
what I'm getting at actually
You
is
want to see the difference between this and this. I want to say now, when all the things we just spoke about, all that photogrammetry that we just spoke about, was done using big cameras. We did it using big lasers and big cameras and the cameras like this to do photogrammetry with. But now, where we are right now is with Polycam and apps like that, we can do it all on the phone.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I think it's like we're getting to that point where 3D scanning is becoming something that people need to get hold of and actually use. And it's becoming accessible. You can do it on a phone now. You can do it to a really good level on a phone. I mean, obviously not quite as good as some of the stuff that Ty's done for you and your river thing because that's aimed at a different audience. But like, if you send me that screen grab you've got there, so I can edit as B-roll.
Yeah.
But if you look at stuff like, you know, your average pub could be putting stuff out there that lets people not just see a photo of their food, but they can see it in 3D. You can use AR to place it on the table in front of you and go, yeah, I like the look of that. I mean, that we just went to the
we're looking.
Grid, it was amazing. But like, you could just stick it on the table, and I'll probably do like a little scan of the phone doing it.
Yeah.
And you can stick it on the table in front of you and see your meal there in you know, in AR space at least.
Yeah, but there's a story to that.
The stuff will change, and I think
there's a story to why that's a thing, though. Why that's a thing that we've been doing and we're trying to push.
Yeah.
Because I think it does come back to me being a bit weird.
Like, do not doubt that.
Ty's definitely going to comment on that bit, but just the fact that I don't like reading a menu. That's it. I don't like reading blah 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 with a fancy chocolate jus. I can't be bothered with the reading of these fancy words on a big menu. And I also don't like cheap and nasty photos in a chip shop. You know, there's two extremes here. I want to have the 3D model of that piece of food in front of me on the table so I can flick through which is the best looking one. Yeah. That's all. That's just an easier way for my brain to consume this menu.
Visually process rather than... But I think,
that's,
you know, if you could sit in a restaurant and just see the thing that you're going to eat, and not as a photo, like you say, just as a... Actually stick it on the table.
It's a soil thing, it's a scale thing.
You know, but it's like right within reach now of your average small business that they could just, you know, because at the moment they do things like Uber Eats sends out a photographer to take photos of very specific things.
Yes.
And, whereas you could sit at home and like you could get the menu as a bunch of 3D scans of the menu and sit there and just whack them on your desktop in front of you and say, oh yeah, fancy that. Yeah. And then order it. Like, you know, I'm not saying that text is dead as a format or anything like that, but the fact is you want to be able to use this tech so that people can more directly connect with the thing you're selling. Because saying to me, we've got a pizza with anchovies and blah, blah, blah. And
how big is
the
it?
whole list. It doesn't tell me, does it look nice? Does it look like it's got... We're still, you know, like when it comes to especially food, we're still very visual based. You know if you want to eat something based on you see it and you go, oh, that looks good.
Yeah. If you ordered in America, if you ordered a pizza pie, it's very different to a pizza that you get from Dough and Brew around the corner. Yeah. Like, they're very different thicknesses for starters. The one in America is massive.
Exactly, like Chicago pizzas.
Sorry. Massive. These are things that you can see, you can visually see, like with this one. You know, we get to see, if we could see that before we ordered it, because me and you just ordered this and ate this around the corner.
It was really good, but if I'd seen that before I'd ordered it, they definitely would have been like, let's get that.
Yes. You had to read the text and process it in your brain.
We ordered that based on the fact that your mate who works in that pub said to us, this is good. And we went, we trust you.
Yes, and how many times have you been into a restaurant and looked around the restaurant and seen that the steak looks good over there? That's my whole thing done.
But that's it, and this is 3D scanning that's accessible to anyone now. So I think...
And just on that, 3D scanning that's accessible means you take out your phone, you open an app, there's loads of them, you scan your food with 150 photos and you press upload. That's it. Yeah. It's absolutely
when you say 150 photos, it makes it sound incredibly laborious, but it's literally you just orbit around the thing.
Yeah, so that's why John said a minute ago, if you see anybody in your venue doing a slow orbit around a piece of bone or a statue or a museum artefact...
Different video, but you know.
Yeah, you should definitely call someone.
Yeah, but that's the thing, it is, and it's like... Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point, actually, because... Like a little while ago, probably about 2 years ago, I was filming in a family zoo park type thing, and I had a FS5 on a gimbal rig. Like I was wearing probably about $8,000 worth of camera and gear and everything else. And my wife was sat down. And I was filming some stuff for their thing. I was using my kids as models basically. Yeah. And I was filming some stuff. And one of the women who was sat there muttered to her mate, that guy might be a paedophile. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm literally wearing $10,000 worth of gear.
And my kids.
But stood next to me was a guy filming his kids on his phone, and they didn't once comment about it. Yeah. And that's the thing with 3D scanning, is that it's going to get to a point where someone could walk into, say, Warwick Castle with their phone and just sort of have a little wander around.
Video, yeah, because it doesn't have to be photos.
It doesn't have to be video, but they can just wander around, take some photos, on their phone and come out with good content. So it's going to be a bit of an interesting area.
Good content that they could sell and monetize.
Yeah, exactly. It's never, well, I'm not going to say never, but it's not going to be as good as, say, if you go there with a drone and everything else, so you can get properly all angles.
Every angle, yeah.
But you've got to think of things like a lot of museums don't like you taking photographs because they don't want pictures of the art. But it's getting to the point where you could walk in and scan a sculpture and go and 3D print it.
Here's one. The Warwick Museum here. I literally scanned the fossil on the wall.
Damn it! Well, the camera's just turned on. Which
3D scan.
this one? Well, that's still going. Oh, this one stopped for some reason.
That one, the 3D.
Hang on, hold that thought, just because if it's not on camera.
The main camera.
Yeah, I don't know, has this one just run out of battery or something? No, it's got the. Oh yeah, it's run out of battery. Fuck's sake, I plug this thing in there. But what we were just doing there.
That was about to be the last little bit of it.
Well, it's not even just this last little bit, but that more conversational kind of style is what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of what we've got this evening is not necessarily going to work that well.
Just choose one of them.
Because it's too kind of dry and delivered.
Yeah,
and
you want to have.
here is
raw
the story
shit,
of you know.
Too detailed.
Yeah.
And that's probably born out of the fact I say it every show.
It does feel a bit like it's stuff you've said to people at stands.
100 billion.
You've heard it a lot, yeah. Is that looking all right shot from that?
Yeah, because
Well,
you are both in focus, but John's a little bit closer, so it'll be slightly softer than you. The thing is, unlike if I was to put it in auto, because I've not got it in auto at the moment, that screen gets blown right out.
I can turn the screen off.
I know, but it's good to see the
No,
model.
it's quite, yeah.
So it's like
got
that
a nice
screen
shot.
gets fully blown out for all the lights in here to try and brighten up the dark as well. So putting it in auto, it'll be a little bit darker, but the screen will be okay, you'll be okay, and you could probably in post lift the shadows, so you could at least see some of the detail in the dark.
And is it recording a little bit?
I've recorded like 30 seconds a minute ago before that camera stopped.
Yeah, that was really annoying. That
Do a
camera
little
switched
bit.
off. Just
Do a little bit more then, Ty.
I'll have to evac.
Yeah, but just
411.
keep that going so it's 1 or 2 minutes of like just capture. That's all I want, a snippet from each interview.
just some background.
Something where you can say to someone, do you want to go and see what it was like in that interview room?
Yeah.
We're basically building a concept of what we could do with other people. This is where we'd have Burger Bear sit down and chat, or Okium sit down, chat.
That could be good to try and get some B-roll of him.
I will get more with that.
As he's playing the piano.
Yeah, Kelly's going to come as well.
Quite nice and tidy at the end.
we
Do
go.
you know what I mean? Like at the end of the keys. So you've got all the keys like
Yeah.
in front, and you're seeing him sat there tinkering.
We can carry on straight away. This
Yeah,
one's
we're
still
good to
going.
go. That's going. That's probably going to run out of battery next, but whatever. Let's give it a try. Yeah.
We just ended on Warwick Museum
yeah.
because I went to Warwick Museum with my phone and I like just scanning things every day, like the food. Try and do 1 a day, try and do 3 a day. But I went in there and we scanned I found a fossil on the wall, literally on the wall, probably 100 photos, and it sold the other day on Sketchfab for $3.99. So, and you yourself have scanned certain things
dinosaur bones,
and sold them online.
Yeah.
So it's not this is no longer a thought experiment of what happens if people are using. We had a convo earlier where you said to me, why the hell does someone want some random T-Rex bone head or whatever it was?
Yeah, that was even more random than that.
Yeah. Tell me, what was it?
Oh, I can't think now what it was. What's the
What's
weirdest thing I saw? Sold an African mask.
There you go. That you scanned.
Yeah, scanned. Yeah. Sold an apple.
There you go.
Like literally an apple.
These
Not
are
an
these
apple
things,
product.
though.
An apple.
So I say to everyone, my kids included, get your phone out, download any app to scan things, and start scanning everything. Scan everything and put it online for sale. And if it doesn't sell, in the future, when you've got a VR world, you'll be able to pull in all of these old scans of yours, like you can pull in photos on Facebook now.
I think it was interesting what Ty did when you say I'm going to get you to send me the thing so I can run it as B-roll, but you scanned your baby and you sent it. Tell us that story.
Do it.
Oh yes. So yeah.
Just had a baby.
literally 8 weeks old Friday.
So do that bit again because I jumped in.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, so I've got a newborn that was 8 weeks old, will be 8 weeks old on Friday.
Name?
But within the space of 2 weeks after Thea was born, she had a baby photo shoot, and the person who was doing that photo shoot was like amazing at getting the baby to just sleep and stay dead still. So that just gave me a perfect opportunity to go and take multiple photos and create basically a forever digital model of that moment of that little baby, sort of frozen in time, and it can be used forever.
No, but then tell me the bit where you showed your mum and people.
Oh yeah, so prior to even that shoot, I'd shot as many photos I could get away with the baby not moving in hospital due to COVID. Only I was allowed in with my other half, and then my family could come in at all, not even my son. And so I scanned the baby, put it through AR onto an iPad, and then projected it out onto the bed at my house on the iPad so they could see the baby and get right up close to the baby.
Wait, before they'd even seen the baby in real life?
They'd never even seen the baby in real life, other than in photos or videos. So it gave them an opportunity to kind of like see it like the baby was there.
Thinking sort of future, well, not future proofing, but just future wise. You don't know what we're going to have. I mean, like Google Glass was awful, but you don't know what AR tech you're going to have in the future. And the fact is that, I mean, I've got a scan of my daughter sitting on a sculpture, and she sat amazingly still.
Yeah.
And I scanned the whole thing, and I've got this picture of her. She looks really peaceful because she's lying there with her eyes shut, lying on this sculpture of a hedgehog. And I'll be able to look at that when she's like 30 and moved away and living, got her own kids and whatever device I've got, even if it's like some kind of projector that projects it into the real world, you'll have that real world thing that's not just a 2D flat photo of something.
Yeah.
You'll be able to remember what your kids looked like.
Yeah.
And it's not just like your kids and sentiment, stuff like that. It's like places, buildings, stuff. The whole world. You'll be able to keep snapshots of a more deep experience of something.
And it's an asset then. It's a valuable asset that you can bring through
you don't
loads
have
of
to
different
NFT
platforms.
your kids, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Although you could.
Yeah. But that's the point. You
don't have to NFT everything.
Not everything, no. But that's the point, is that you can scan stuff and have it as a record. And even going back to the food thing we're talking about, the fact is that if you've got like a kitchen, or you've got like a restaurant you've been running for 15 years, if you've been scanning through all those 15 years, you could be like, what's the meal that did really well? And then you can load it up and actually look at the food, not just a photo of it, but you can look at the food that you made, or the meal that you made, and go, oh yeah, we did that with that one, and we did the, you've
Imagine
got
if you
that kind
had,
of
this is where
record.
You're getting, you're understanding it more in your head now. Imagine if a famous restaurant did a scan of the first chef, Jamie Oliver's first ever blah 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 blah, whatever.
Yeah.
Now you understand it better,
Now you
because
understand
that's
that
valuable in
NFT.
10 years' time. Yeah, it is going back to that, but
Oh no, but it makes sense, because the thing is, imagine if you could go back and have like 3 scans from the start to finish of sort of the guys carving out David, the statue of David.
yes,
Like 3 scans from block of marble
yeah,
to first rough cut to final polish
yeah,
of him actually doing that.
yeah.
Like that as an NFT, that actually makes sense then, because although people could steal it,
John's just had the moment.
the moment, yeah. but it makes sense in terms of you could have an asset then that you can sell on. No, I'm not going to get into it. I'm going to get into something else on NFTs, but we'll save that for a different time. But I think in terms of the scanning thing though, is that it's like it gives you a much more rich, in-depth connection to the thing that you're imaging, and it's better than a photo, and in some ways it's better than a video.
And it can still be a photo.
And it can still be a photo, and it can still be a video, as we've done quite a few of. But the thing is, it means that you've got something more tangible that in time to come you can look back on, and not just go, oh, that's where it looked at from that direction. You can go, how did we do that, and turn it around? How did we do, and
what did you look like from the left? What did you look like from the right?
Exactly. You can you can look back at photos of your kids, and it's like
the houses you lived in.
Even now, when I look at the scan, and I'll stick it on, but when I look at the scan of my daughter on this little statue thing, it's the fact that it's just more tangible, and it's more real. And
are you talking about only looking at it on a tablet or a
well,
device?
even looking on a tablet or device, but you can also, whether you look at it on a 3D headset, which you do now, but who knows, in 10 years' time, maybe there'll be a way of projecting a hologram into a
And
real
then
world
people,
space. You know,
the word hologram needs to disappear because it just needs to be
it
3D model.
Yeah.
People are trying to touch on the Star Wars Leia hologram
Yeah, I
thing.
know, it makes things sound like too far.
That's like
away, Star Trek,
videogrammetry.
but-
It's just like photogrammetry, but videogrammetry.
Yeah,
do
exactly.
frame by
But-
frame, 3D model, frame by
But
frame.
it's not even, you know, like, I don't like the word hologram, like you say, it makes people think it's too far away in the future, it's too unrealistic,
Yeah.
but the fact is, you can create something that you'll be able to interact with, and who knows, maybe not that far in the future, there'll be ways of projecting 3D models into a real world space. I don't know how to do that, otherwise I'd make an absolute fucking fortune.
What do you mean? There is
Selling
a
the
way
tech,
of doing
but-
that now.
Well, there is, but I mean more like readily available
Not
human
on
ways
an
of doing it.
It's
yeah.
on an
'Cause
iPad.
it's like
we can
things
do it
like
on
you
an
can do it on
iPhone.
an iPad. You can, but that's still a 2D thing. That's you looking through a 2D window.
You mean some
that's
glasses
something.
that you wear that you walk around? As soon as
could-
anyone brings out any
Oh,
sort
no,
of
I
headset,
mean, like I'm thinking, think more blue sky than that. The fact is, there are hologram systems that use mist that then projects into that mist to make.
yeah, we've got
something real.
projectors in the room.
But you've still got projectors. But the fact is, you don't know what the tech is going to be in 10 years' time. If you did, you'd be making a fucking killing now selling that tech.
No, but
So-
there's everyone I speak to when I go on my travels
Yeah.
is glasses, AR glasses.
Yeah, which is fine because that's probably what's going to come in, say, 2 to 3 years
Yes.
into more common. When I say common usage, I mean like there was a time when mobile phones were rich guys who were carrying a suitcase with the battery
Yeah.
and a handset in the other hand.
Now it's everyone.
Now everybody has got a mobile phone, like everybody has. And I think the ability to see AR stuff and to see 3D stuff, at the moment you can use it on your phone, but it's like you don't get that many people using it because it's a bit clunky, it's a bit involved. When it gets to the point where you can literally like just lift your phone up and there it is and it's just done.
Mhm.
And it's, you know, which is
Or
getting
put your
there.
glasses
It's
on.
getting there. Or put your glasses on, but not your horrible looking Google Glass things.
No.
Things that just are integrated into your life. Whether that's retinal implants, I don't know. You know,
Could just be a brain
It could-
implant,
could
don't
be
have any
anything.
lenses
It
on.
could be, yeah. It could be anything. Could be anything. But the thing is, you don't know what the tech's going to be. But this is creating the content that at that time you'll be able to go, oh, I want to see what the kids look like when
Yeah,
they're little,
yeah.
and you can load them up and just.
You're going to be
or-
bored of looking at a photo. You're going to go, where's the
Well, you
3D
want to
model of?
see, like if I see like I love a good photo. I mean, there's always going to be room for good artistic photos. But if I like take a scan of, say, I don't know, like Blackpool Pier, you know, I've gone all day in Blackpool and I've scanned it with some system that just means I've really easily been able to scan it. And then when I look at back in years' time, I want to walk back down the pier that I walked down
Yeah,
in
yeah,
VR.
yeah.
I
These
don't
are
want to just see the photos.
These are just
you know?
different use cases for these models. But
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
see now when we're chatting, like any 3D model is going to have power and currency in the future. It can be used in so many different platforms. You
Yeah.
just talked about 3 in the last little conversation. As soon as you say, I want to walk down the pier of Blackpool, it's a whole different
Yeah.
thing than scanning a plate of food and seeing it on a table.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
now
yeah.
talking about sticking it into a platform where you can actually walk down it and blow it up and blow it down. Like, that's going to come
But
as
what
well.
I'm
You can
saying
do it
is
now.
making it more accessible. But the fact is, what you guys are doing at River is doing that. You're creating worlds that people can go into and experience.
I just think that
And I don't think that's the only limit. I think that my point is that it's very easy for people to see what you're doing and say it's really clever, but I don't see why that applies to me.
Mm.
But I think that 3D scanning in general is becoming something that will start becoming as ubiquitous as photos. Because
Yeah.
Once the light bulb moment happens with an individual, when they realise and understand
It's
what
everything.
their use cases are, then all of a sudden they start thinking of what they'll do with them. And
You've
it's much
seen it at
easier
shows, haven't you?
for them. Yeah, it's much easier for them, those particular people, once they realise what their use cases are, to start saying to you, can I use it for this? Can I use it for that?
It's everything.
And you can turn around and go, yeah, or
Everything.
no, or at least they get it. It's just a case of you just need to push them in the right way to say, you can do this, but you can't do that. So as an example,
Yeah, and if you want to do this, it's
Yeah.
going to be harder to do this. And if you want to do that, you need a real high res scan.
for those things, unless we get into like volumetric capture types of things where you want a bit more movement,
Game dev.
or yeah, then it starts coming back into say 360 or 180 video or something like
God,
that.
there's so. This is why it's so broad when we talk
But
about
this is
VR
a-
or immersive tech.
yeah,
Go
it's
straight
it's
back to
broad
3 DOF,
subject.
6 DOF.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, we could do a whole discussion about that as a separate thing. But,
Oh, I ran
but-
all day about 3 DOF, 6 DOF.
but as far as this goes, I think, you know, like let's tie it up there. But I think the whole point of this discussion that we're having now is so that people can watch this and then sit there and say, "Oh, I've got this case," because we're not going to think of everything.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, can I
Somebody's
scan
gotta
some
make it,
sweets
but-
in my sweet shop?
Well, yeah, but you're just sticking with food. You know, this is what I mean. It's like
which is,
so a farmer could turn around to you and say, well, if I could scan my fields, or I could do that, I could then plan out what I'm doing, or what way my drainage works better. Or you don't know what someone's going to turn around. An architect is going to see this and think, oh, I've got a use. A firefighter's going to, like whatever.
We hear it every day. Different people come to us. Ty will have heard this at so many shows. Oh, I've got this company, and can you use it for this? And we do always have to go back to 3DOF, 6DOF, VR. What are you trying to do? Everything's different.
Yeah. But that's kind of the two separate sides of it. I think there's the how do you deliver the content, and how do you get the content.
Yeah,
and
capture
I think the capture side of the content is what's become a lot more accessible to people. And yeah, there is a lot to do in terms of how do you deliver that, and there's various ways. I mean, we're looking at just one case with food.
Yeah.
But the fact is that capturing the content is considerably easier now as well. And I think
just as we spoke today, we spoke, and I got my phone up, and on my Sketchfab and Polycam account, I've scanned 200 models.
Yeah.
That's 200 models in 3 months on my phone. Yeah. Nothing to do with any company. This is just me as my personal thing. So,
well, yeah, six months ago, I was going out with a DSLR and a drone, and taking hundreds of photos with those to do things that now I am just doing on my phone.
Yes. And Ross, who's also a director at River, it annoys him a little bit, because that's how we've built the company, from using DSLR and drones and photogrammetry. Yeah. Well, now we need to pivot a little bit and have a different way of creating those assets.
I think what you're doing is quite clever, is that you're thinking in terms of how do people consume this content more than you're thinking about. I mean, I know you're doing a lot about how you capture it, but you're thinking a lot more about how people consume it. And one of the things I'm thinking is a lot of people are dealing with how to capture it, not anywhere near as many people are dealing with how to consume it.
Yes.
And what River's done, what River's done with its 3DOF stuff and the kits, which I'm sure we can link to something to show you that. But what you've done with versus 3DOF and the cases where 3DOF is useful versus 6 depth of field. 6 depth of field being the
degrees of freedom.
Yeah, degrees of freedom. Whatever. Sorry, it's too many DOFs. Too many DOFs in a way.
Yeah.
But degrees of freedom. So just the different ways you can move around in these environments, and why one works better than another. Why your link kits have done so well, and why they're an amazing idea. And it's a simple idea.
People forgot about it.
Yeah, it's a gap in the middle. But this is why I think what you've done at River is really quite clever. Is that you're actually taking a good look at how do people consume this stuff. And taking that into account, not just going, what's the best way we can capture this?
Yeah.
What's the highest? How can we throw money at capturing this? When sometimes it's as simple as, how do you just put a decent 360 camera into a box and then give people a bunch of headsets?
Yeah, because they want to have their own people, their own logos, their own places on film.
Yeah.
They don't want to pay 30 grand video production when they can buy £2 camera and shoot it themselves.
Yeah, but in such a way as it's actually quite achievable as well. Yeah. It's not like you need a link kit and then a shit ton of instructions and training.
Has to be simple, as they were.
Yeah, got to be simple. But that's what I think is genius. The fact that you're looking at how to actually deliver this content, not just how to capture it.
And we had to come back in. I had to force myself to think. We made River Link years ago, and we also made Investigate years ago. So now we're thinking about other things. But Link is basic system. It's a 3 degrees of freedom, 360 video or 3D 180 video that you cannot walk around in. Like, you cannot get up and walk around any of the environments because they're all video. You can have video.
But it's immersive.
But it's
360 video.
Because obviously if you're filming real people with real emotions, especially if it's now with like 180 VR, 3D, you're going to get so much more immersion. And actually one of the things that was a big thing for me sort of starting into that kind of medium of just the 360 or 180 kind of footage is, imagine the idea of filming someone that's a loved one and then seeing them again. Like it'd be the same thing, obviously it'll be always that video repeating, but actually there's a pro and a con to it. You know, if you've got happy memories, I'd love to see my nan again. I'd love to see me like interacting with my nan, like filmed.
That's why it's exciting.
That medium. That'd be incredible. It wouldn't make me sad. I'd be like, oh, I can't wait to see it again.
That's why this is exciting, because the link kit can show 360 video, or it can show PDFs or a photo to multiple people, all in VR at the same time. That's the USP of it. Yeah. But the camera that Ty's got in front of him is allowing us to capture amazing 3D memories now. It's not something that we're talking about that we're going to be doing in 5 years' time. I was going to swear then, I don't know if we're doing swearing. But
I don't think it fucking matters.
no.
Actually, YouTube is a
This
bit
is cooling
funny.
down right now, anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, don't mention that bit.
YouTube
No,
is.
it's all good. It's cooling down.
No, you're calling down.
No, it's off, so it's fine. Yeah.
No, but we don't have to show it. But there's a camera here that's 3D 180, which allows us to shoot scenes. When you watch it back in a VR headset, it gives you a different image in each eye, and you feel like you're in front of that person talking to them.
Yeah.
Whereas before, we'd use a 360 camera that's flat. There's no stereo. There's no different eyes. You just wrap yourself around a sphere wrapped around your head.
But it still works in terms of if you just want someone to see a space and be able to say, if you look over there, this, and look over there.
Yeah,
that,
window, door, roof.
Yeah, yeah,
like
exactly.
perfect for orientation.
But this is just more personal. It just kind of gets
It's-
you more.
Yeah, it's like sensitive. It's
You have
like
to send me a little
delicate.
bit of snippet of it just so I can like go.
Yeah.
Here's what it looks like.
Or even just like that.
Anyway.
Yeah.
It's just delicate and it's more calmer, and you feel like you're there. It's just you can't run around with that camera because
No.
if you're playing that back to someone in a headset, it has to be completely still. Even when Ty
But
was
you're
out
giving
with
them the choice of what they look at. Then it's like
You
when we were saying
are
about doing an
choosing-
interview. Whereas traditionally, like an interview like this will be shot. It's cutting from camera to camera. When you speak, the camera cuts to you, whatever.
which is why we're doing a wide looking at
Yeah,
us.
yeah. But when you do it on that camera, you're letting the viewer choose who they're looking at when they're talking.
In a 180.
Yeah,
The
in a
thought
180, yeah.
The thought process also goes into how you set up too, because are you setting up for someone to view it in a VR headset, because it has to be viewed in a VR headset to get 3D.
Mm.
Not
Are
necessarily,
you doing
layer pad.
Are you doing? Yeah, we'll talk about that. But are you going to be viewing it as a seated person in VR? So then you set the camera up to be eye height seated, or are you going to be standing up with the VR headset on? Then you probably want to have the camera set up at average standing height.
We argue about this a lot.
And-
I think
Yeah.
everyone watches VR sat down.
And so
Yeah.
that's where you have to determine what's the best way to do it.
And that needs to be
Yeah.
thought about. People are producing stuff for Oculus TV and YouTube VR that is absolute dog shit.
Yeah.
Because they are not thinking about how it's a new medium. They don't think
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it being delicate and sensitive and close and all that. They just think about it as 3D, I can be there. Like you said,
Yeah, yeah.
oh well, I can see a cow in a field and it's not 3D because it's 20 metres away.
Son of a bitch. The camera just went off. No, it's still going.
3D in a field of a cow. Yeah, it's not 3D because it's 20 metres away.
I literally shot one. I
Clip.
literally shot one 4 minutes long earlier on, and that knocked it down to 10 minutes. Then I did another one that was 2 minutes long, and it's knocked it down to 5 minutes already. It's like Jesus Christ. It's 'cause
So
it's
how many
warm
clips?
in
2
here.
clips?
You got 3 clips, I think.
So I'll just
Yeah.
turn them tonight and then delete it.
I think you've got 3 clips because I did 2 over here and then 1 slightly over
Yeah, this
John's
one I'm
shoulder.
interested to see what that's
So,
like,
yeah.
whether John's shoulder's too
It'll be
close.
dark, but
Oh, see
think
what
about
happens.
this, right?
Should we kill all that now?
If
Might as
you-
well stop.
Yeah, I was going to say we could do with like a wrap up, but yeah, it's fine. We'll just,
If you want
I think it's
to
got too hot.
render it at 5K, so it's a
Stop
bit
it.
quicker, so you can
Yeah.
see it. It still looks